ethics and social responsibility. We're going to understand the concern for societal issues and ethics. We're going to talk about the environment, contemporary with the environment that we have currently. We're going to discuss how organization can shape ethical conduct and I'm going to give you an example of how business can act responsibly to protect society and also our responsibilities to investors and others. The concern for ethical values. Well, we know that ethics goes beyond the letter of the law. Sorry about that. I'm hoping that you can hear me. We know that the ethical responsibilities is it goes beyond the letter of the law. The law says one thing and we do it, but some things are just not illegal if you don't do, and we do them anyway because we have an obligation, an ethical obligation to our customers, to our investors, and to others who depend on us. So it's the standards of conduct. It's the moral values. It's about morals. It's about what's right. And again, it's not yes or no. It's really based on situation and what's right for everybody involved. The environment we've had currently has been littered with allegations of high-profile investigations and arrests. And the thing that we can depend on is I would say most organizations are honest. They are honest and they're ethical in dealing with their employees and with their customers and individuals who depend on them, like the banks and others. But we do have to face the fact that there are people in positions of power that have been charged with wrongdoing and ensuing um, acts that are not good. But we have some approaches that we can use, and one is the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, and we don't have to get into the act itself and all that it does, but it was prompted because people in authority, people who knew better, people who had access to information, used it, and it caused a tremendous amount of harm to investors, to people who were depending on their honesty, and they weren't honest, and they lied. So it does allow us to have a framework upon which to work, a framework that ensures that people who are depending on us are being held to a higher standard that's beyond the letter of the law. We want to also identify opportunities that create an ethical dilemma, know how to handle those dilemmas, have a policy in place to work with people to help them manage through these type of dilemmas so that they can always do what's right. But organizations with strong ethics have a tremendous success in building an environment where people can be honest, people can be treated fairly, people can deal with those who are not honest. A strong culture does, ethical culture does have an impact on an organization. And when the organization is, in fact, doing what's right and showing people how to do what's right, it makes a difference in how people work and how whether or not they want to work. So, that being said, um, reducing the risk means starting with the management. Management has to create an environment where people can be honest and people can be held responsible when they are not. So, safety violations and putting their own interests first, those kinds of individuals will be easily identified because the ethical behavior will be, the culture in the environment will be such that people like that will be caught quickly or leave. And the most important thing is it has to begin with organizational managers. They have to be the ones who tell us this is what we're expecting from ourselves and we're expecting it from you as well. But we need to be honest with ourselves and we say that technology does open the door to a lot of things that we didn't have 25 years ago. What I want to do right now is just give you an example. About a year ago, almost a year ago, back in September, October of last year, Target, which is one of the leading retailers in this country, had an hack situation. Someone got into their computer systems and was able to gain access to credit cards for people who had used their card, debit card, Visa card, MasterCard, Discover, and for their transactions. As a result, people's accounts were, in fact, vulnerable to theft. Now, we all know that Walmart and other organizations are also potentially exposed to this stuff, but it actually happened to Target. As a result, the CEO explained what happened, when it happened, and why, and that there are steps to take in fixing this problem. As a result of that, um, they were right on the top of it immediately when it happened. They were very transparent about what happened. They did not pass the buck. They took full responsibility for what had happened. But the ethical issue that I'm talking about here was the response of the credit card companies. They called and contacted their customers. They immediately wrote letters to them and immediately took action to remove those credit cards from population. For example, if you use, they determine which customers use those credit cards at those Target stores during a period of 3 months, a month before the incident and a month after the incident. And those particular customers were contacted and told that their cards would be canceled and replaced by new card numbers. They took it as a preventative measure because they felt the severity of the breach was so significant that it required them to do this, to take an extra step to protect your company, your private information. This is an example of ethical behavior at the top. Now, anytime you make changes to your credit card, you have to sometimes you have to pay a fee to get a new card, or you go through a hard, long why you got to change your card. But they decided to change all the cards of those impacted transactions or those customers. This is what we're talking about, ethical behavior. This is not some law that needs to be created to make a boss or make the company do something like this. It was nothing to do with laws. It was about their responsibility to the public, their responsibility to their investors, and their responsibility to their customers. They felt it was so serious that this preventative measure would cause to help them regain the trust that people can use their cards for making purchases of their personal goods. They wanted confidence restored. And no, their cards were not, their systems were not hacked. But the credit card companies felt so concerned about how the breach had occurred that they believed that this was the best preventative measure to ensure that it never happened again, whether it be any other store that their customers would decide to purchase products from. And this is what we're talking about. We want to remove conflicts of interest. We want to make certain that people who are aware of what's going on tell the truth. We are looking for people to be honest and full of integrity. But we want to also know that when there are dilemmas that occur, we want to be completely straightforward with what's happening. We want to tell people how it had occurred, and we want to do everything possible to avoid it happening in the future. I believe the illustration that I just given you was a clear example of going well beyond the letter of the law and going into the social and the ethical responsibilities that organizations have with their customers in particular. Now, that meant that the CEOs of the organization had to be aware. They have to be leaders. They had to be the ones out front, the ones that setting the tone, the ones that are taking full responsibility for their actions and showing others that they're going to be accountable for the same rules that they're holding the employees accountable as well. They do it through ethical actions. They do it through training people, showing people this is what an ethical situation would look like in this environment. This is how it looks. So that when you're confronted, you know how to govern yourself. They have rules. They have policies in place. They train you to show you how to act and to behave and to detect if something's not right. And that's important because ethical awareness is important. You've got to know it, and everything has to rest on that awareness. That is what's right for our people we're responsible for. But we cannot go past the fact that ethical leadership has to be illustrated by managers. Sometimes it's a formal paper and pen documented um, statement about what they're going to tolerate and what they won't, and examples of such. Some organizations are large enough that this is absolutely necessary. Some are small. But the end of the day is managers and leaders have to be the ones that are out front, taking the hits and being responsible and showing others this is what we are expecting from you because we are doing it from ourselves. Actions means what are we going to do? How are we going to deal with this? How are we in violation ethically? So hiring employees that have that orientation, you need to test them, let them know what this is, what it looks like, what it feels like, what kinds of things that you would be confronted with, and the moral and the ethical consequences of those kind of situations. It's all about being educated. It's all about being educated, being leaders, and being able to show people what's right by how you act. And that's what's most important. We don't want to encourage people to do what's wrong. We want to encourage them to do what's right. And we do it by doing it right ourselves, setting the standard, setting the mark and the boundaries upon which everybody works within, and making certain that people can be in their environment safe and they can do their jobs. And when things don't go right, they can have a way to communicate that to those who are in authority, that people can be responsible and held responsible. Our responsibility is to keep our economy, our environment that we live safe. We want to make certain that things that we do and the products that we provide don't harm people. Putting toxic waste and other things in our water supply, creating bottle caps that pop open that could cause injury. I mean, it's important that we make products that are safe, that we make a contribution to society that is good for them, not bad for them. So our responsibility is a whole circle, not just to our employees and not just to our customers, but put up for the people in the public. And the public can very well be people outside of our nation. It could be outside of our nation. It could be investors. It could be the financial communities like Wall Street. But we have to make certain that we have our responsibilities taken seriously. Public safety is important. Our cars have to be safe. If they're not, why are they on the road? It's our responsibility to pull them off the road, get them fixed, and put them back on the road for everybody. Protect the environment, meaning how are you disposing of your trash? How are you disposing of your products? How are you creating your products in the first place? Are you using the most efficient and the most um, efficiently used resource for your production process? Think about those things. And not only does it help you sell more of your product, but it also helps the future. And what we I found that when we're more responsible for our future and the future of others, our ethics usually follow that. Developing quality workforce, enhancing that quality workforce because of how we teach people how to act. How in creating diversity initiatives, making certain that everybody is exposed. We have every kind of individual who's willing to working for us, that we can have that broad base of individuals with multi-talented, multifaceted skill sets, that we can do the best job, and our responsibilities to the public has been assured. We want to be able to provide also with our good works. We want to give to organizations that promote strong ethical values. We care about our customers, not just because they provide us with a profitability, but they have a right to be safe. They have a right to know that their product is not going to kill them. They have the right to know what the side effects of whatever product that they have that they're using, that you provided to them. Don't lie. Don't mislead. Tell them what they expect, what the cost is. No hidden fees. People want to know that they are informed. They don't want to be lied to. And they're more likely to trust you when they know that you're doing everything possible to be as honest to them as possible. And giving them a right to say, I'd rather work with this other organization, not manipulating customers, but showing them the respect and giving them the product that they want and need at a price that they're willing to pay. It's all about our responsibility to the customers. And if there is a product that we are providing and it's not good, don't you think it's in our interest to know why? It's in our interest to know that the customers don't particularly like our product. They have a right to have a legitimate place to express their um their their complaint. They want to be heard. It's an inherent right. And so I think that when we do provide a forum for them to discuss what they like or they don't like, we are in fact showing responsibility, that we're responsible for what we do. Employees want to be safe. They want to have quality of life. They want to have health insurance. The letter of the law, you know it. But sometimes going beyond the law is almost always good for the employee, providing them what they need, making certain that they are safe, that they know the rules, that they can be safe, and their children and themselves and the others around them can be safe as well. But also providing them a basis for being able to have promotion. They don't want to worry about being discriminated against. They work hard, they have skills, they meet the requirements. Why not hire them? So they want to be ensured of quality of life as work safety, and an opportunity for promotion, equal opportunity for promotion. So, and again, the opportunities for promotion has to be without discrimination, but we have to make certain that we're going well beyond what the law tells us, because we have a high moral, ethical, and societal um, responsibility, and we want to do what's right. It's in our best interest to have employees happy, safe, and devoted to our organization. So, sexual harassment and racism and any other discrimination, we need to make certain it's outlined that we are against that, and we have a policy in place to deal with individuals who feels that they have been harassed or the environment in which they work is unsafe without retaliation. We want to make money. We want to make money. We want to be able to provide growth for our organization, but we need to make certain that our expectation of ethics and moral behavior is the basis upon which we will pursue our profits and for our shareholders and those who are invested in our organization. This chapter is a very good chapter because it does give you a good idea of how important it is to be ethical in your business decisions. There are some very clear distinctions, but then there are a lot of areas where it's blurred, and it's important to discuss ethics and its role in our business decisions and how we can be the best managers for our organization and best representatives of leadership so that others can emulate that and we can have a strong ethical environment so that everyone can feel treated with respect and cared about and also have an opportunity for them to grow and develop. This is the end of chapter 2. And if you listen to the chapter lecture again, by all means do so. And thank you very much for your attention.